our team, our community. This is Condors Town, and this is another Energy Condors Connection. Now, here's Erik Fox and Ryan Holt.
What's going on, Condors Town? It's Erik Fox here from the Energy 95.3 studios here in northern part of Bakersfield, and another part of Bakersfield with lovely blinds behind him. Or is that doors? It's something like that. Is Ryan Holt?
That's my son's closet door.
Oh, there you go. You're hanging out in the kids' room today. It's where, like at Thanksgiving, you don't get to the big table yet. You got to hang out and still in the little kids' room. So.
Listen, Paw Patrol's on downstairs. I was not getting the downstairs room.
Fair enough. You know, when Paw Patrol's on, man, I mean, those dogs got to do their thing, right?
There's more dogs every day, apparently, too.
Oh, so let's jump into it. Once again, welcome back, Ryan Holt from the Bakersfield Condors. Hope you had a great Christmas, buddy.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, it was great. Great to get away for a couple of days, and hope your Christmas was good. Hope everyone's Christmas was good, and looking forward to final home game of the new year coming up here this week.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, and right before the team hits on the big road trip. Before we jump into that, like we always do, we always talk about, of course, the parent organization, the Edmonton Oilers, because that's what we do here. We talk about the Oilers and we talk about the local team. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about. I got to put the little thing up because everyone's like, what are you guys talking about? There we go. There's the Oilers update. So NHL has had quite a bit of changes, I guess we can say, since we last did the Condors Connection here. Obviously, they did take a break where all the teams were originally was just going to be no teams crossing the border, but it turned into all teams not crossing intersections pretty much at that point. So what was that break like, and how have the Oilers been holding up during that break?
Yeah, so, basically everyone kind of knew you were going to get 3 days off, and some teams have had more than 3 days off, and now they've, postponed some games post-Christmas and, leading into the new year. But looks like, some games are coming back tonight, which is a positive. And, I think the tough part, we talked about this, is, unlike the NFL, and for sure unlike the NBA for a vast majority of teams, you really don't have to worry about countries. You're talking states, or you're talking municipalities. You're not talking, different countries. Unfortunately, but hockey's an international game in the sense of, there's teams in Canada. There's a good, swath of teams in Canada. There's some important teams up in Canada. Certainly, we know that here in Bakersfield. But when you're navigating two different countries, it makes things a little different. So. Whereas the NBA and the NFL have been able to kind of, change the rules, I guess, if you will, or change the guidelines, and, the CDC changes guidelines. Hockey hasn't really been able to do that just because of the Canadian component to their league. So, we'll see what happens. But, at the end of the day, teams are coming back, and, there's a couple Canadian teams playing tonight, and, I think the Knights are back in action. The Kings are playing. So, hopefully we get going back here tonight and start rolling again.
Well, you were talking about, of course, the NFL and the NBA. They've been able to change rules, but, of course, some rules changes have actually come into play for the NHL. That came down right before, I think it was on Christmas Eve. Yeah. Talking about taxi squads, which in my head I always picture like New York City, just the whole plethora of yellow cars going down the road. Taxi squad has a little bit different meaning when it comes to the NHL. I'm a little confused by it myself, so maybe you can clear that up for me as well. What exactly is the taxi squad, and is it a bunch of yellow cars going down the road, or is it something
so
different?
This was something they put in place last year during what we thought was the pandemic season. The taxi squad was basically, you're allowed 23 players on your active roster. And for those who don't know, an NHL team has up to 50 players under contract. Some teams only have 45 contracts, etc. But so you have 23 players on your NHL team. Whoever else has an NHL contract that isn't on your NHL team is likely on your AHL team. What they did last year, because they knew that they were going to need players in emergency situations, especially testing positive, certainly like that, they had a group of about 5 to 7 players. And depending on who you were, you could have more players or less players, but 5 to 7 players who would be on the taxi squad, meaning they would be around the team, they would be eligible to play, but they're not on the roster, so they're not going to count against your cap hit. So some teams took this different approaches. For a team like Edmonton, you needed a larger taxi squad because your AHL team's in Bakersfield. It's not exactly easy to get across,
Right.
especially nowadays. If you're a team like the LA Kings or like the Anaheim Ducks, your taxi squad might not be as large because your team is right down the street. So theoretically, you could just pull guys up that day and it have not be an issue.
Or for San Jose in the same building.
The same building, exactly. So this actually it could hurt a team like the Oilers and like the Condors more than anything. It's only in place for a couple of weeks. I think they're waiting and seeing how the next couple of weeks kind of shake out. But what they didn't want to get into was a situation where they had to cancel games because they couldn't get players up from the AHL. So now basically what they're saying is there's no excuses that you can't get guys from the AHL because we have this taxi squad. You can put 3 or 4 guys on it if you want and have guys available. So doesn't really change much from the Condors' point of view right now because the Oilers were already shorthanded to begin with. So they kind of already have everybody that they would already have, on the taxi squad. So we're business as usual. We've got all of our forwards back, which is great. So we'll see what happens here in the near future.
Well, that was my next question, of course, is how does it affect the Condors? Because tomorrow night we do have the final game of the season where we are taking on the Ontario Reign. I did want to, let's jump right into it then and turn into a Condors update here. So tomorrow night versus the Ontario, of course, the Condors have had a little break, including the game yesterday versus San Jose postponed. How has the team been able to keep focused and keep ready through a long break like that?
Yeah, it's like trying to drive a stick shift, or at least me trying to drive a stick shift, right? Like it's like, you kind of rock back and forth a little bit and, stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. It's been challenging. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I haven't been in the office for, I was in for one day in the last 3-4 weeks. So, I haven't seen a couple of our players for over a month, which is, crazy when you think about it, and you see these guys every day for a solid 7 months. But it's challenging, but at the end of the day, everyone's kind of going through it. It's not like we're the only ones. So, I think the team played pretty well going into this latest break, and now it comes out of it. And we have a full forward group, which is great. Offensively, goaltending, Ilya Konovalov's been great for the last month. So really excited to see what he can do, here moving forward. Defensively, we're a little shorthanded right now. We've got Philip Broberg and William Lagesson and Dmitry Samorukov now up in the NHL. Those are maybe our 3 top defensemen, but it leaves 6 guys here that, have a lot of opportunity. So we won a game the other night with 10 forwards and 8 defensemen. And tomorrow, I think we have 15 forwards and 6 defensemen available. So, so we'll have full forward groups and a full decor, and then solid goaltending as well here. So the guys have been positive throughout the whole thing. Everyone kind of knows it's what's happening here in the world, and we'll see what happens tomorrow night. But we haven't been home in a while, so it'll be good to face an opponent here at home because we haven't played at home in a while.
Absolutely, and it is Aaron 95.3 night out there, so I'm going to be out there. I have my Condors jersey now, so I'm all ready to sport it. I don't know if I'm sounding the siren, riding a Zamboni, or harassing Ryan Holt, or it's probably going to be all 3.
Well, we've got the Superstars in town too. So the Superstars are, if anybody hasn't seen them, they're pretty funny. They're entertaining. They're 10-foot tall mascots that have all sorts of antics, and they eat people sometimes too and spit them back out. It's pretty funny. So,
you're telling me they're going to keep me in check tomorrow night? Is that what you're saying, Ryan?
They certainly can. They certainly can. Bobby Orangutan and Squidney Crosby and Peyton Manatee. They're pretty good.
Well, it's going to be a good time. Once again, that is Aaron night going on tomorrow night, taking on the Ontario Reign. I'll be out there, so I look forward to seeing everyone out there. And of course, you guys, before we wrap up here, let's talk about going into January because, December has been kind of a slow month with things, but January, when you guys are cooking on all cylinders, I mean, what's January looking like? Because you guys got a big road trip coming up.
Yeah, so I did it out the other day. We actually, with the postponed game Monday, starting tomorrow, we'll play 49 games in 115 days. So that averages out to basically 1 game every 2.5 days, which is kind of the schedule in the NHL. where you're playing every other day. In the AHL, it's a little different because you're mostly only playing on the weekend. So if you kind of extrapolated that out and took away 3 or 4 days out of the week, you're basically playing every other day. Which for an AHL team is a grind just because of the amount of travel and commercial travel that you do. So we're ringing in the new year in Vegas on Saturday, and then we're in Ontario Sunday, and we spend a week up in Abbotsford for 4 games. So up in Canada. So. Then we come right back home for a 5-game homestand, I think, in January. So it's going to be helter skelter, but it'll just be good to play games. It'll be good just to get out and drop pucks and play hockey and not have to really worry about practice and promotions and this, that, the other thing. Just go out, play hockey and win some games. And whichever team I think kind of navigates the next month and a half the best, I think is going to put themselves in a pretty good spot down the stretch.
For those who want to go check out the game and, keep me in check, maybe out there as well tomorrow night, as you guys are taking on the Ontario Reign, how did they get the tickets? How did they get connected? And all the good details.
Yeah, CondorsTown.com. We have holiday packs still available. You get bobbleheads and pizza included. And then, CondorsTown.com is your best way to get tickets. And 6:30 puck drop tomorrow night. We've got some great promotions coming up in January with New Jersey giveaway and Star Wars nights coming up in March. And a lot of other fun activities, including I think we finally have some Friday night home games coming up. So $2 beer nights finally coming back. Haven't had a Friday home game yet this year somehow. So we're looking forward to that. And we're going to have a lot of games. We've only played 19 games, so we've got a lot of games coming up here at home, especially in January and February.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Once again, it is Energy 95.3 night going on tomorrow night. Ontario Reign, the Superstars there, and a whole lot more. Ryan Holt, I always appreciate checking in with you. And look forward to harassing you in person tomorrow night, and we'll have some fun, okay?
Absolutely. We'll see you tomorrow night.
All right, this has been another Energy 95.3 Bakersfield Condors Connection. We'll see you next time here on Energy